Hey everyone, ready to take your travel stories to the next level?
Who isn't?
I mean, let's be real, sometimes nice and fun. Just don't cut it when you're trying to describe an epic adventure, right?
Totally. I think we've all been there.
Exactly. So today we're diving deep into some expert tips from IELTS vocabulary for describing travel experiences. Get ready to ditch those tired old phrases and discover some seriously powerful words.
Ooh, yeah. This source is packed with great stuff. It's not about sounding like a textbook, though. It's more about, finding those words that really capture the essence of a place, the feeling, the energy.
It's like you're painting a picture with words instead of just like listing facts. So let's start with describing destinations. How many times have you stood in front of something incredible, like a stunning view or a famous landmark, and just felt like words escaped you?
Oh, all the time.
Right. So how do we go from it was pretty to something that actually does it justice?
Well, instead of just saying, like, busy city, what if you said bustling city?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, it just adds that extra layer of, like, sensory detail. You can practically hear the sounds, feel the energy.
And you know how we love to find those hidden gems, those off the beaten path places?
Yes.
Instead of just saying quiet beach, imagine saying secluded beach. Suddenly, it feels more exclusive, more like a secret paradise.
Exactly. And here's a little trick. Try pairing strong adjectives with nouns for even more impact.
Yeah.
Like picturesque town square just paints a much more vivid image than just town square, wouldn't you say?
I totally agree. It's all about those little details that bring a place to life. Okay, so we've got our destination description down, but now let's talk about describing those amazing travel experiences. Because let's be honest, nobody wants to hear a boring list of activities like, we went hiking, saw a waterfall, ate some food.
True.
So how do we go from listing activities to crafting a story that people actually want to hear?
One way is to use phrases that add a layer of emotion or significance. Instead of, we saw the northern lights, try something like, witnessing the northern lights was a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Ooh, see, now you've got me hooked. And it makes you think, what would be your once-in-a-lifetime travel moment?
Right.
That time you climbed Mount Everest or swam with sharks or finally tried that crazy street food you were too scared to eat before?
And remember, sometimes the best stories come from those unexpected hiccups along the way. The travel mishaps that make you want to pull your hair out in the moment, but later become hilarious anecdotes.
Oh, totally.
Like missing your flight could turn into a story about sleeping on an airport floor or meeting a new best friend in the airport lounge.
Exactly. It's all about perspective, right? Speaking of which, remember that secluded beach we talked about earlier? How did you even get there? Maybe you had to like venture off the beaten track.
Oh, I love that. It just adds a sense of adventure.
Right. And even the way you describe your transportation can say a lot about your travel style. We took a high-speed train versus we rented a rickety scooter and braved those crazy mountain roads.
I can picture both of those so clearly. And, even simple words like backpacking or luxury travel can reveal a lot about your personality and preferences.
Totally. It's all about using language to show, not just tell. Okay, ready to tackle a big one.
Hit me.
Describing how a place or experience made you feel. Because it's so easy to get stuck in a rut of good and fun, but those words don't really convey much, do they?
No, not at all. Good is like the most overused word in the travel vocabulary dictionary.
It's like the vanilla ice cream of travel descriptions. Give me some sprinkles, some hot fudge.
Yes. We need something more exciting, something with flavor. So instead of saying the view from the Eiffel Tower was good, how about like standing atop the Eiffel Tower, I felt euphoric.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That's not just stating a fact, it's sharing an emotion.
Right. It's making that connection with the listener. And I think those emotional details are what make a story really memorable. Like, visiting the ancient ruins left me feeling humbled is way more powerful than the ruins were interesting.
100%. And travel has this amazing ability to, make us feel small in the best way possible.
Mm-hmm.
It connects us to something bigger than ourselves. Words like humbled, inspired, or even awestruck can really capture that.
I often feel this sense of nostalgia when I return home from a trip, especially if it was somewhere really special. But at the same time, there's this feeling of being invigorated, like I've absorbed all this new energy and perspective.
Like travel fills your cup in so many ways,
Well,
and
yeah.
those feelings are so important to acknowledge and share.
Absolutely. Finding the right words to express that whole spectrum of experience is key. Okay, but let's be honest, one of the best parts of traveling
The
is...
food.
Obviously. Like, I can't even imagine going somewhere new and not indulging in all the local delicacies.
It's such a big part of experiencing a culture, isn't it?
For sure. But how do we describe it in a way that, makes someone actually crave it? I mean, the food was good, just doesn't quite cut it.
You're telling me, it's like, come on, give me some details. What did it taste like? What was the atmosphere like?
Exactly. I think it's about bringing in all the senses, not just taste.
100%. Like, imagine describing the aroma of spices in a Moroccan market, or the sizzling sound of street food cooking right in front of you.
Ooh, even just the word sizzling makes my mouth water.
Right, and those little details make such a difference.
Totally. So instead of just saying, I tried durian, which, by the way, is a very polarizing fruit, you could say something like, I braved the pungent aroma of durian, its creamy texture both surprising and strangely addictive.
Okay, that's actually making me want to try durian now.
See? The power of words. And remember, details are key. Instead of just, we had pasta, how about, we stumbled upon this tiny family-run trattoria, and the owner's grandmother made the most incredible homemade pasta.
Ooh, I can practically taste it now.
Right, you're not just eating pasta, you're experiencing a whole story. Okay, so we've covered destinations, activities, feelings, and food. How do we pull it all together to create a compelling travel story?
Well, I think it's all about structure. It's like having all these beautiful ingredients, but needing the recipe to turn them into, an amazing meal.
Love that analogy.
And a simple structure to start with is where, what, and how you felt. So you set the scene, where did you go? Then what did you do? Use those vivid verbs and phrases we've been talking about. And then the most important part, how did this experience make you feel?
It's like giving the story that emotional punch.
Yeah.
Our source material actually has this perfect example about a trip to Santorini. It starts with, I ventured to Santorini, a breathtaking island in Greece, known for its iconic whitewashed villages clinging to dramatic cliffs.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
Right, it's like you're already there. And then it goes on to describe the activities using these really dynamic verbs like exploring, savoring, and losing myself.
I love that.
I spent my days exploring ancient ruins, savoring delicious Greek cuisine, and losing myself in the beauty of the Aegean Sea.
It's like you could feel the sun on your skin and the sea breeze in your hair.
Totally. And then it ends with, leaving Santorini, I felt a profound sense of peace, knowing I had experienced something truly magical. Boom. You've got the where, the what, and the emotional takeaway.
It's like we've taken a mini vacation just by listening to that description.
And that's the power of evocative language. It's not about being a professional writer. It's about choosing the right words to share your experiences authentically.
Exactly. Anyone can do this. It's just about being mindful of the language we use.
So no more excuses for boring travel stories. We've got the tools. Now it's time to put them to use.
Agreed.
Okay, let's talk about some common vocabulary traps that we can easily avoid.
Oh, yes.
You know those words we talked about earlier? Nice, good, fun.
They're like the vocabulary equivalent of plain toast.
Exactly. Fine, but not very exciting.
We need to upgrade to, artisanal sourdough.
Yes, with all the toppings.
So instead of nice, how about we try charming, delightful, or enchanting?
Enchanting. That's just magical.
It is, isn't it? And instead of settling for good, reach for words like remarkable, fantastic, or even breathtaking.
Oh, I do love breathtaking. It's like, that moment when you see the Grand Canyon for the first time and you're just in awe.
Exactly. It evokes that feeling perfectly.
Yeah.
And lastly, let's give fun a makeover.
I'm ready.
So instead of that activity was fun, try entertaining, engaging, or even exhilarating.
Oh, I love exhilarating.
It really captures that feeling of excitement and adrenaline.
Like, ziplining through a rainforest or whitewater rafting down a river.
Yes.
It's about choosing words that paint a more vivid picture for the listener.
Exactly. We're not just telling a story. We're creating an experience.
And the more we play with language, the more confident we become in expressing ourselves.
Totally.
And the more we can connect with others through our stories. I think sometimes we forget that, using better vocabulary can actually make us better travelers.
Oh, absolutely. It's like training your senses to be more aware,
Right. Like instead of rushing around from one tourist spot to the next, just snapping photos.
We actually start to slow down.
Yeah.
And appreciate those little things, those unique details.
And things that really make a place special.
Like the way the light hits the water at sunset.
Yeah. Or the sounds of a bustling market.
Or even just like the smell of fresh bread from a local bakery.
I love that. And when we actually tune in to those sensory experiences.
It makes the memories that much more vivid.
It's true. I think our stories become so much richer.
Because we're not just describing what we saw.
Exactly. We're describing how we felt, you know?
And that's what makes a story truly unforgettable.
Well, I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about today.
Definitely. A whole toolkit of vocabulary to spice up those travel stories.
But you know, it's not about memorizing a dictionary.
No, not at all. It's about finding those words that resonate with you.
The words that capture your own unique perspective.
And don't be afraid to experiment a little.
I love that.
Try out new words, even if they feel a bit awkward at first.
It's all about practice.
The more you play with language, the more confident you become.
So, dear listener, as you plan your next adventure,
Or even just as you're reminiscing about past trips.
think about the words you'll use.
What images do you want to create?
What emotions will you evoke?
What stories will you share?
The world is waiting to hear them.
Happy travels, everyone.
Safe journeys.